Hi, Editing Mooney here. Before I start the video, I want to be very clear that I make a few mistakes in matching Posca color caps to the ink in the barrel of the Liquitex markers. And that comes to bite me in the butt when I'm comparing colors, but I think that ultimately it's not a big deal because at the end, you know, they're still paint markers and I'm looking at other aspects of it, like ink flow, opacity, pigment, if it dries and looks nice, the nibs, how it feels, and all that good stuff. So please don't get too frustrated with the fact that I mix up a few colors. In editing, I annoyed myself. I think that's fair punishment, don't you? Anyways, here's the video. Hey. First things first, we're gonna try this out on a few different pieces of paper. Blackest black paper I could get. Regular multimedia paper and toned paper. So let's do let's unbox first. This is neutral gray. We have a iridescent antique gold and a rich silver. So to start with that, I'm gonna try to find in this all of those corresponding colors. Gold, got Posca gold. I know I have a Posca silver right there. And then I need a gray, which I think this is probably the only gray. Yes. So then we have a gray. Now this is the Vibrant color series. So I think this matches with the pastel Poscas, which I have in here. So let me just go through this and find corresponding colors. So yellow, green, teal. What do you think? This one? Maybe that one. Orange, pink.
Medium magenta.
Or what would you think? That one? Probably that one. It's not really bright pink. And then purple. And we have one more package. I've got the classics, which should be red, blue, green, black, white, and yellow. I know I definitely have all of these. So we have a different yellow, which I think is the same. I think they're the same. So I only have one yellow to test both of those against. So we're just gonna do that one for both of them. I have a red. I have a blue. That's kind of a dark blue, so we'll go with this blue. What did you think? Are these the same? Those are the same blue. So then we'll do that one maybe? The teal or the light one? Probably this one. Then that one. Black. It's a brand new black too. Green. White. Now I separated each of them and tried to do them in the same order from Posca to Liquitex on each side of the paper. And I started out doing Posca on the multimedia paper because I feel like this is what people are going to have the easiest access to. Most people are going to have white paper or multimedia paper, and anyone who's reviewing this is either a Posca user or about to get into it, and Poscas are much easier to find nowadays. You just get them online or from Japan, but now you can get them in Michael's, and I'll look it up online, but they're a few dollars per pen, and the Liquitex is comparable, I believe. After the white paper, I move on to the toned paper, mostly because I was interested to see how it would absorb the acrylic paint, or if it would dry fast or slow, or if the paint would be see-through. And you'll see that there's a few of them that are opaque, and a few that are like amazing. The orange is wonderfully pigmented. The yellow is what you'd expect to be pretty splotchy. Oh, look, I make a mess. Yeah, this is my life. This is what I do with my things. Now on to black paper, which I was excited to do just because I like the way that colors pop on black paper, and even though it may seem a little silly, I did do the black swatch at the top. You never know when you might need it. You want to cover up something, a mistake you made, and have it blend into the background. That's good to know. And again, these, you can see all of the colored pigment and opacity and which ones stand out and which ones are kind of dull, but the Poscas look amazing. I was really pleased with how the Poscas looked. With that, I am off to the Liquitex side. Now, this part kind of sucked, and I don't show you in the video, but peeling all the plastic off of each one of these pens took forever. And I mean forever. It took so long, not only to put them in the order I wanted to use them in, but to open them and to actually use them. It was kind of a pain. I used a X-Acto knife to get through most of it. And you can see me struggle here with the black one for a minute. It's definitely stiffer plastic than Posca. It's harder to open, probably easier to keep kids away from it, but I didn't like it. Shaking them up, pumping them, and getting the ink flowing. Had to do it for all of them, so this took quite a bit longer than I was expecting. Now the nib, I was really happy with the nib. It's a chisel nib, and so it could be fat, it could be thin, and I tried to show here by doing a thick swatch, straight lines, and dots, since you can do all of those with this, and it just gives you a little more variety, more than the Poscas do, because they just have a regular bullet nib. And you can also see that the colors are pretty comparable. A few shades different, maybe more of the purpley magenta that you'd want, or greener than you'd want, but I think they were awesome. The side-by-side of the Liquitex and the Posca looks pretty comparable, and I'm happy with it. Working through on that toned paper, the gold did not stand out at all. The orange was a little muddy, the blues faded pretty drastically, and that yellow did not survive. The Posca definitely won on that one. Same thing, black paper, same order. The white Liquitex did not pop as much on this Posca, or on this black paper like the Posca did. So I was a little shocked by that, and it looks like most of the Liquitex ones had a little transparency issue, like their pigment did not stay opaque. So looking through them side by side, you know, I actually think I like the Posca pens more on toned paper and black paper, and the Liquitex looks great on white paper. So my initial thoughts on how they feel after just swatching. I love the Liquitex and the nib that it has. I don't know if you can really see it. Let's see. It is a chisel nib, so you can get fine points, broad points for coloring in, and thin, long lines, which is like the best. It's way better than the Poscas, which if you've used Poscas, you know they only have one nib standard. I'm sure I'll look online and put it up right now, but I'm sure you can get other nibs. Just the standard ones out of the pack are just this little nib. It's just round. If you're real ginger with it and you get the smaller sizes, you can do finer details. But you know, I as you saw, I have varied sizes of them because I just pick them up here and there when they were in stock. I had to buy them online. You couldn't really just walk into a Michael's and get them, and you kind of can now. And they have little sets and stuff. I found the Liquitex online, and I will throw up the price right here, but just using them for the swatches, I really liked the Liquitex. I like the nib. I think that sells me the most. The price is comparable if I remember correctly. And my Poscas, but like I said, these are not new out of the box. I'm not comparing like if they were dry or juicy, because my Poscas are not new out of the box. However, vibrancy and opacity, definitely. So getting the swatches, like just on the regular paper, for instance, like the Liquitex colors are shiny, they're nice, they are, you know, a little opaque, but not in a way that makes you go, oh, it doesn't look good because I can see the paper. I don't know, I just really like how these look, and I don't know if my camera will pick it up, but you can kind of see that it shines a little in the light, and you know, the Poscas don't. They're pretty dull, you know, in comparison. And maybe that's what you're going for. Maybe that's what you want, is a dull matte look, but maybe the Liquitex gives you a little something that you want. Again, I would say that the shine is there on the metallics, and the standard colors, they look great in both. Although Posca Purple is definitely the standout. It's just thicker and juicier and more opaque than any of the other colors. Also, you can see that the Posca Yellow is easier to go down on darker colors. And then on the black paper, and like you've kind of already looked at this already, but they're all pretty similar in terms of if they're see-through or not. Now again, I will say that the Poscas went down more opaque than the Liquitex, and this is just one pass, not multiple layers. You could probably get more layers and get it to be just as opaque, but I will say that the black Posca looks a little more green, blue, gray after it dries, and that is black. Black, black, black. That looks great. The gold is shiny, the silver is shiny. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. So those are my initial thoughts. Now we're gonna do the non-paper test. I'm drawing a little pumpkin and go from there. Liquitex on one side, Posca on the other. And then if that is comparable, we'll do one more test. Otherwise, we'll cut it short. Now, I chose to test these Poscas in a limited color palette on a very tiny pumpkin, because this type of surface was like a painted plaster, more in line with home decor and what you would find at dollar stores or the regular store if you wanted to DIY something. And I did a pumpkin because I filmed this video in October. Yes, it took me this long to sit down and edit the video. No, I don't want to hear anything from you about it. Now, this was also kind of difficult because it was small and oddly shaped, but you can kind of see the difference in the end between the two different colors and which one you'd prefer to paint with. Now, I also really liked the Liquitex nibs for this because you could get into the little nooks and crannies and you could do fat lines, skinny lines, texture, all of it in one go with one pen. And, you know, shades of orange, shades of green, they're only off by a little bit, but ultimately they're too similar for me to care, at least on this type of texture. So after that test, I'm pretty happy. I think they're pretty comparable. They both went on smooth, but needed time to dry. Too much ink would just rub right off, as you saw. It got a little messy, but that's mostly because I've done fingers. I don't know that we need another test, but if you want to see me do full illustrations comparing one to the other, I'm happy to do that. But I think we're pretty happy with that. Final verdict being that I think I like the Liquitex better. I just like the chisel nib, especially for doing paintings or illustrations. If I'm painting or drawing on glass or other material that's a little bit, you know, distorted in shape and it's not flat, then Poscas might be an easier tool just because the ink comes out a little bit better. Yeah, I think the Liquitex is great. And again, you can kind of weigh if the cost and the nib and the, you know, ease of access as far as like you can get it at Michael's or not, to determine what's best for you. But if you are able to, I would say try Liquitex. And then, you know, the last piece is how long they last without drying. So far, I've had most of those Poscas for well over a year and none of them have dried out. So that test is just going to take some time with the Liquitex because I just got them, but they have been in the box for a few months at this point. So it seems like they're pretty comparable. I really wouldn't say anything other than they're easier to hold because they're normal size barrel and they have a better nib, but that's just me. Yeah, let me know if you like them or if you have something negative to say about how I chose to do this. Or if you want to see me draw something with them, happy to. Just kind of ran out of time for this video, in all honesty. I only get one day a week to film and edit. So This video is a little bit short. Hopefully I can make you laugh, and hopefully I already did that. Otherwise, hit the like button, leave a comment, follow for more, ring the bell to get notified. Check out my Etsy store. I have so many things on there that are so fun, and if you're in the Pacific Northwest, I'll be doing a craft fair. If you join Patreon, I'll tell you where it is. And oh, and if you join Patreon, you get a free sticker every 3 months. So yeah, and you get to be the first one to get a new sticker if I make new stickers. So okay, bye bye.